Okay. Hello, my name is Sylvain Côté. I'm from Quebec in Canada. As you hear, I'm not an English speaker. Okay, today the presentation is about how to upgrade the 41CL. The 41CL has, Monte has made that in, I think, 5 years ago, 4 or 5 years made available. And when he released it at the beginning, there was about, I think, half of the memory with the ROM image of the 41 at the time. Angel being producing ROM faster than anybody can think, he filled up, no, but there's a lot of new ROM that has been added to the 41 and CL, and now the issue today is how can I update a board that is 3 years ago or 2 years ago to the latest version of the ROMs, okay? And that was an issue. And didn't update my board for years because I found this too complicated. And this summer I decided to bite the bullet and say, well, how can I do this? Yeah. And this is basically where I've gone to do this, what I've did in order to spend, instead of spending a week full-time doing an upgrade of the 41 CL, and instead of taking a week, now taking 5 hours, and I'm looking at ways to do it within an hour, within only 1 hour. So, sorry?
Did you set the notebook display to presentation?
Yes.
So that it doesn't turn off?
No, I have a small utilities that I just activated to not go into sleep for 1 hour.
Okay.
So, okay, so I'm going to start this. Doing a flash update. What's basically it? You have 2 tracks. You get either you do. Pick up the. Okay, either you do an update of a sector or you erase a sector completely. When you do an upgrade of the ROM, each ROM is 4K. Now, in the 41CL is 8K because everything is doubled for the 41CL. Each location is using 16-bit instead of 10 bits or 8 bits. Now, each RAM flash sector is 64K. So you can, when you have to update a flash sector, you have to update the whole 64K. You cannot just update one 8K. So basically, the process, what you have to do is basically copy the flash over the RAM, update the ROM that you want to update inside the 64K in RAM, then erase the flash, copy the RAM to the flash. So this is the process. Flash sector update, you copy flash sector to RAM, update the one that in the 8 that you can update, erase the flash, copy the RAM to the flash, and then that's the end of it. The other one is when you want to replace the whole sector, then you don't need to copy flash to RAM. You just need to erase the RAM, download the image, erase the flash sector, and copy RAM to flash. So that's basically what you have to do to update a sector. In the V2 board, you have 32 sector. In the V4, you have 64 sector. So you play with this. Monte has helped me a lot on this, Angel for all the ROMs and updates that he's done, and also some specific ROMs specific for the CL. I use your program for to update, modified it, but it's based on your program. And Robert and Dave helped me a lot in doing some testing. And okay, you should. Should be available on the. If it's not available, it's available on the HHE that I've done a month ago. Okay, it should be on the internet. If not, I can send it to Matthias, who can distribute. Well, you have it. Did you distribute this or?
Sorry.
The presentation, I sent it to you some weeks ago.
American.
Yes, but you did you distribute it to the person?
Yeah.
Okay, don't send. Then you should have it. This is all the link if you want to have the manual and how-tos. Okay. On the boards, yeah, you have to be aware of that when you want to update the board. Alpha, nobody has it. Beta, there was 22 boards. I think Angel got one of the beta. There's a couple of person, I don't know here, but in the States that had one. Normally, all the boards that was really made public is V2, then V3 and V4. Now V2 is the one that has only 2 megabyte flash, so that means that you have 256 pages of 256. You can put 256 ROM in it. Starting from V3, double the RAM, the flash, sorry, and then you can have more ROM inside. So the reason why at some point it's important to know which one you have is because some version has, normally a sector is 64K, but some version has, there's one sector that is not 64K but 8 times 4K. And some are at the beginning, other at the end, and you have to detect that in order to update the OS part. So, but except for that, it's pretty standard at that point. The important image are these one. You got the two important are EMDB and FLDB. EMDB contain all the 2 letters or 4 letters that you use normally, but it's 2 letters inside that when you want to select an image. Other information, the FLDB has the YCRC value inside. When you want to check if the ROM is good, is calculating the CRC of the ROM image and validating that against the entry in the FLDB file. And if it's okay, it will say that's no problem. If it's not okay, then you have a difference what you have inside and what's its spec, it's different. So you have to update at that point. The other ROM that we use normally are the third one here. That's the one that's default. And also for the updates, I'm using I think the YFNF that we're gonna use to update the ROM update. The other one are the mod that show you the difference. I don't think that's going to be too small, but basically the YZ and the YP are the same. This is the same ROM. I know that you don't see a lot, but this is the same ROM, same XROM ID. The only difference are the 3 function here and the 4 function here. Okay, except for that, they are the same location. The other one has here has some of the function of these, but they are not placed at the same. They are not located with the same ID, XROM ID. So the reason why I've built this is because sometimes I have a program, I'm mapping one ROM or the other, and they have the same XROM ID, but the function name are different. So if I didn't take note that when I wrote a program that I used one ROM instead of the other, I can end up with different program because it's going to call different functions. So,
I had this problem.
yeah, me too. Okay, for doing the copy, what I'm using some of the RAM space to copy flash to RAM. So there's one 8-page that I'm using here to copy. That's the page 810 to 817 that I'm going to use for all the RAM update. There's another set of pages that I'm using for the OS update, because when I'm doing the OS, then I need to run from that space and not from the OS of the inside of 41, the CL. And also, I'm using those two memory, those two ROM here in RAM, because when I'm going to update those ROM, I cannot update the ROM while I'm erasing that while I'm using it. I have to copy them in RAM, then I can update them. So that's the tricky part. Yeah. Okay. The issue, when I start last summer to say I want to update my 41CL, the issue was, okay, I'm fetching from the Monte site the Excel file, and he has everything on the Excel. That's look like this. That's okay, that was the Excel. So he has the page, the content, the IDs, XROM, small description, OSCRC, and the date he has updated. Nowhere I have the file name of the ROM. Okay, and he distributes the ROM into published by year. So he has 2015, 2016, 14, and so on. So the first thing I did is get the Excel file, get the IMDb, FLDB file, get all the ROM. Say, okay, I want to update. Now I did manually as an update. Then I realized after 3 ROM update that the ROM that I got, because I did manually copy flash to RAM, download through the serial port the ROM that I want, then erase the flash, copy RAM to flash, and say, okay, everything is working. Do a YCRC on them. Then I have error, not the good value, because what I discovered is that the ROM from Monte, most of them are correct, but some of them are not the one that it's in Excel file. So at that point I realized that I had to create a baseline. A baseline was everything must match Excel, YCRC, the ROM version, everything must match before doing a firmware update. Okay, so I contact Monte saying, you have the updated, your latest file of the ROM. He says, well, I didn't have that before. What he do basically is I have an image that he copied through the FPGA interface in one shot, and okay, that's good for you, but normal people don't necessarily have the FPGA programmers, and that's part that needed. So he gave me the latest one that he had. He didn't have all. Most he had, but some he didn't. So what I took that, went to the 41 site, get all the ROM. Some was also missing. I had V2, V3, and V4 board. So I took the latest V4, extract the ROM that was missing in order to create all the ROMs that match what was expected. Then Monte gave me his GW basic program that he wrote to calculate the YCRC. I took that to an emulator on the Mac and was able to run the program, modify the program, and then calculate all the YCRC of the files. Did the same, create a HP41 program to do the same on the 41. And at some point, I was able to have the baseline. So basically, what I did is what I just explained is written here. But at the end, what I got is basically the page, the content, the ID4, the ID2. Why the ID4 and the ID2? It's for the 41CL. Actually, it's using only the first and the last character of the 4 character ID. It's not using the 2 in the middle. They're just there, but it's they're useless. Okay, so so I'm using this because this is inside the IMDb file, so I can look at it. Names, the revision, I extract that. I'm going to explain that later on. The file name. Also, what was the challenge is that I didn't have any file names. He only published the ROM and the description, but there was no file name. So for most of them, I was able to deduce the file name based on the description, but other I could not. So I used the MLDL 2000 program from you and manually open up all the 512 files and extract the information once after the other, dump that, and then extract the information and fill up this. And I was able to match the description with the file name of all the ROMs. YCRC, that's the value. That's the one that I'm calculating on the 41. That the calculate. No, this is calculating from the. This is coming from Monte in Excel file. This one I'm extracting from the FLDB file. This one I'm calculating on the PC, and this one is I'm calculating. I'm only saying diff here, but I'm calculating on the 41. And I have the page where it goes and the location in RAM. So also what I did is to took all for the V3 and V4, I have 512 files, but those files needs to be put into pages of 8 files at a time. Because when I update the flash is updated by page. Okay, so I organized this, all the ROM, into 64 folders, okay, containing each one 8 files. And for each files, each folder I create a file called module.txt, and to put the ROM in the order that they must be placed in the 64K. Okay, that's going to be used later on for data transfer. So that's all the organization that needs to be done in order to do before doing the mass firmware upgrade.
It's funny you just picked that particular sector because I just found a bug in the EPAX 4H1. So don't do that upgrade yet.
But the issue I'm having right now is that I've done all the works and it's working, but now it's becoming. If I don't publish that and update that in parallel of Monte, at some point we get out of sync. And right now I'm communicating with Monte in order to find a way to integrate that with what he's doing in order to have only one source, not multiple sources. Okay, and if you should have that presentation in Excel file and everything is inside what I sent to you. But for each column, I've explained what it is and what's the source of that information. Okay, normally this is manual, right? Yeah. So normally when you want to do an upgrade, okay, first what I do is basically do a on to be sure that the 41 does not go off by itself. I deactivate the MMU, clear the MMU configuration, activate the speed up, initialize the serial port. Then I copy, I've put that in RAM, I'm copying the Y, F, and S, F, and Z from flash to RAM. So I'm copying this flash address to RAM address, doing a copy. Then I'm specifying the RAM location and plugging this to the lower port of the port 1. Then I'm doing the same for the second one that I need, taking the other address of that to the 831 in RAM, doing a copy and plugging this to the upper module. So I have my two modules that I'm going to use in RAM. So I can update everything except for the first page, first flash page. I can update everything else now to ensure that I have no issue there. Then I'm activating the MMU and I'm doing cat2, and I should have, well, this is on a very old board, and then I should have this one and this one being shown if it's working. So this is not okay. If I want to update manual again, if I want to update a flash sector, in this case I'm going to update the FLDB and the MDB ROM. Basically what you have to do manually, and this is working on V2 and V4, and I need to specify 2 times the same thing. The first thing is I need to copy the sector when these 2 files are located. They are located into the same sector. So I'm copying the 64K from flash to RAM. So that's the first thing, specifying the address. And then you add the YM copy 8, who's copying the 8 files. And that after that, I need to download the module from the PC to the 41CL. In order to do that, you need a program on the PC to transfer that image. Okay, so what you do is basically you specify a location when you want to it. When I did this, it's copy from 810 to 817. So I have 8 block, 8 times 8K in RAM. Now the location of the FLDB is on the 7th ROM of the 8. So I'm specifying 816. Then I'm using the Ruby program to transfer that and using the organization of my folder. It's a 24/7 folders. This is the name of the folder when I put the files, and then the file itself. I'm doing this, starting the copy, running the Y import program on the CL, and when I do this, this is where the PC is starting to send the information to the CL, and the CL is receiving that. It's receiving the module image and copying this into RAM at location 816 for 4K length. Okay, so when he's doing this, now I've updated on RAM my which one is it? The first is the updated the FLDB. Then I have to do the same. That's the next ROM for IMDB. Again, starting to when you start that, it's asking you a question. You say enter, start, Y import. Then the file again is transmitted from the PC to the CL. And that's when it's done. Now we have to erase the outdated flash database sector, specify the address. This is the same address, different format, but basically the same address that was here. You do the erase, then you have to copy RAM to flash here, and then I'm doing after that FLD. When it's done, I'm checking if the FLDB, if the image copy into flash is good. So this is for updating 2 ROM out of an 8 ROM page, and I I had 512 ROM to update. Okay, so that's when I finished this, I said I will not do this manually. That's not for the whole page. So I have created a semi-automatic process. To create an automatic process, some of the thing was missing. Okay, so at that point I said, okay, the best that I can do is to automate as much as possible on the 41, the best as possible on the PC side, and then with some synchronization, do the transfer page per page, all the 8 files at a time. And this it took 5 hours to update 64, the 512 ROM. So 5 hours better than what I expect to do, more than something like a week or two to do it manually. And I'm hoping that to have an automatic process somewhere in a couple of months from here that will do it in about a month. Not a month, but in about an hour. Yeah, let's progress this on reverse. So, okay. Right now it's a melting pot. That also has to be cleaned up. I'm using program from Monte in Basic, and Ruby from Gear. Some of the Perl that I wrote, there's a melting pot here. So I need to rewrite everything in one language. I need to pick one and then write everything, and then from that have one tools for everybody if somebody wants to use it. I'm using a modification of program for the Ruby here from Gear, and I've had my name at the end of it just to differentiate it. The basic program from the Monte is there also.
Just a note, if you have any cool modifications, you can push them on the list.
Yeah.
Please do.
Well, I will send it to you, and then you decide.
In advance, you can just ask me, and then you can get access to this stuff.
And I have also a dump FLDB program that dump the content of the FLDB file. I'm writing the same type of program to dump the IMDB file, also to have to understand what's there.
When you say done, where do you dump it?
While I'm reading the file and I'm dumping stuff in order to be able to import that into Excel. Okay, so it's basically there's 32 bits of information for each entry for the FLDB and the IMDB. So there's right now in the FLDB you got the CRC and then 3 entry slot for each one, so it's pretty easy. The IMDB, while you have to interpret the things inside in order to dump it. But the basic thing is that to have that and then be able to open up the ROM, calculate the CRC, match that, or at least see, do I have this, if I want to do it automatically, right now I'm doing a lot of visually. I'm when Montes is releasing a new Excel file, I'm putting that inside of it and I said, okay, I'm copying this and using a macro because sometimes it's shuffling the ROM. And the ROM that in one place is no longer there. It's an old ROM has been removed, another one has been put at the same place. So it's not always at the end because we are full right now. There's only one page left that's free, and it's starting to remove ROM and put in new ones. So I need to detect that. Okay. So I made a program and made a template, an overlay on it, and that's basically starting things that if I have to do it manually. So the program is basically, okay, I put it on, MMU enable, Turbo 50. This is if I want to print all the all the CRC of the ROM. I'm specifying thing in X, running this program, and it's printing. And I'm using at that point virtual printer with the IO box, receiving all the CRC of all the ROM Okay, and then importing that into Excel. The FLDB that's native on the CL does not print, even though you took the try is not printing anything, so it's only displaying. It's not following the print logic inside. So it's really updating on UI. You see everything is working, but you have no trace. If I want to check the 512, I'm not sitting here an hour taking notes for each of them. So I rewrote a program that does it for me. But basically, this is the same thing as this. The only thing is that it's printing. The other one is I want to initialize my program. The initialization is basically what it does is doing the initialization I was doing manually, cleaning up everything, cleaning up the MMU, copying the flash to RAM, the two ROM that I made, doing the housekeeping that's before starting. Updating the IMDb FLDB file is again calling the program, asking you to do stuff, but it's basically doing the same as I just did 5 minutes ago manually. I'm going to have video of that, so you will see how it goes. But normally what I do is using this, specifying the address in RAM, in alpha, and say copy flash to RAM. If I want to do an override, basically I did clear RAM. Then if I want to download one file, download 8 files, and then copy RAM to flash. So basically the process normally is specifying a flash address in an alpha, pushing this is doing everything that's needed. When the routine finished, the flash data has been copied to RAM, now ready to be downloaded, overriding. I'm ready to override some of the part with through the serial port. If I want to download only one file, again, I'm specifying the address and I'm pushing this. If I'm doing all the 8 file, I'm pushing the other, and he knows. I don't need to specify anything at that point. When this is finished, I'm specifying again the same flash address here that I used, and I'm pushing this, and it's copying the RAM to flash, erasing flash, copying RAM to flash, validating the content if everything is okay, and it's reporting okay or not. So that's basically it. Again, this is the same described what I just described, explaining location. The modification that I did is I put knowledge of the OS6 inside the Ruby program. Is detecting which OS is running, and based on that is defining default based on the OS of what's the default of the serial port. Gary has done it on Linux. I've added the logic to add a second operating system, in my case OS6, but the entry is for Windows. I haven't had time to do it for Windows, but the entry is there, just need to define the default. Is it COM1, COM3, or COM whatever, that's some default. Then I can read one file, write one file to the CL, or write a batch of files. In that case, I'm giving as a file here an option which it's called module.txt that we see before in the folder that contain the 8 entries that is going to be sent one after the other to the 41CL. Okay, so I don't need to type this 8 times, I'm just pushing one file.
This is a cool one, send it.
So basically when I'm starting this, the first time I execute CL update, and what you're going to see is initialization, and each step is written on the display. It's copying the YZ to RAM, mapping, copy the YF to RAM, mapping, and then saying, okay, everything is okay. This one is not really important right now. If I want to do, I'm going to overwrite this, it's going to be fat. Okay. If I want to do an update on one of the sector, basically on the PC, you have to start by everything. I'm on Linux, I'm starting on Mac, I'm starting a command line. This is done through a command line. It's not a a GUI program. I'm using the transfer program from Gare, so it's a command line. So you need to go to start a command line, go to the folder. Normally I'll go to the folder when I have put all my files, and at that point, on the 41CL, I'm executing the F key, who is the copy flash to RAM routine. Okay, and sorry, I forget. Okay, I've put in the RAM the address first. Okay, then I'm executing this. That's gonna, and what you're gonna see is copying flash to RAM for the A page, and you're gonna see done when it's done. Then after that, for each file that needs to be updated, I need to specify in the 41 the address where it's gonna go between 810 and 817, because that's where I'm putting all my, when I copy from flash to RAM, that's where I'm putting the files. And then I'm doing execute H, and at that point you will say press run stop when it's ready on the PC side. Then I'm executing this on the PC side with the good information, and at some point I'm pressing RS and enter to update. So again, this is when you update, you have manual step, more manual step, and if you overwrite a full block, but still it's faster when you do this than if you do it manually, completely manually. So you have to do this every time for all the files, any of the 8 files that need to update, and then when it's finished, you specify again in alpha the address when it's gonna go. In flash, press execute G with the copy RAM to flash, and then this is where you can go automatic at that point. This copy is erasing the flash, copying the RAM to flash, validating everything. So basically this is, and I've done it when you want to do an override, that's easier. You're gonna see, I'm gonna show you a video doing it, it's faster. And if you want to play with this, I've put the whole program here, so you can read it, modifying, adjusting as you want. Okay? Just before the video, I'm going to show you the organization of the folder. It's not working because I'm on full page here. Okay, here for the 64 folder, each folder has it's located. It's based on the Excel file. In Excel file, every file has an address, and each address is inside a page. So I've specified, okay, this is the 16 ROM page that I need to update. It's from address 80 to 87. This is the ROM, and if I open this, okay, what you have here is basically the order. This is 80, 81, 82, 83, 84, 85, 86, 87, the order in which it goes into it. Okay, this is done for V3 and V4. I need to do the same for V2. V2 has a different organization. I have to redo everything that I did for V3, V4 for V2. Yeah, that's not easy. Also, I've put in tools all the program that's there. So the modification of the Ruby program, the basic program from Monte, and the Perl program that I made. Also inside document, you have the movie, the Excel file, the PDF, the presentation, everything is there. So you're fun to do it, modifying, have fun. Okay. If I want to do, let's say, the update here, see. Okay, shoots. Good. Close this. Close this. Yep. Okay, what you see here is the command line. Okay, and my folder is the folder that I just showed you, where you got all the subfolder with the 64 subfolder. I'm at the same level. I'm running the program there. So here, this is location of that folder on the command line, and this is the 41, and you're going to see the interaction between the two. So basically I have to specify in alpha the address where the flash, what's the page I wanted to update on the flash. Then I'm pressing the copy flash to RAM. It takes about, I think it's 2 or 3 minutes. Well, 4 minutes actually, to do that part. To do the complete update of 64K page for 1 or 2 or whatever files. Okay, that part is done. Then I want to update some of the I want to download. Here I'm going to download that one, I don't remember what, 812 ROM. I want to update that image. So I've pressed the download one here. I don't check it yet. So here I need to specify, I need to know for sure what's the ROM that I want to update. So what I did is run this, press enter, press RS here. And everything will be downloaded at that point automatically. And when I'm finished, you're going to see that I'm going to, in alpha, put the address, destination, and then the flash, RAM to flash. So basically here I want to update 1 ROM instead of an 8 ROM package in the flash. So I run the first program to copy from flash to RAM, download from one file, and then copy RAM to flash. The flash writing take times. That's the worst part. Erasing is pretty fast, and this is running as 50 times. So I can speed this a little bit here because it's the same thing down. After that is doing check. It's checking actually right now 1 because checking all 8 will take too much time. So I'm checking 1, saying, okay, at least if I'm checking 1 and it's working, then I know that since I've erased the flash completely and copy over, I know that the copy worked. So that's basically it. I don't know what I did.
It's working.
Well, I know it's working, but I think, yeah, I did a manual check with FLDB. Here, if I want to check, I can also specify the address in RAM, in Flash, and then do a manual check. Now, if you want to do a full update, or 8 files, so this is what I call an override. So here, basically, I don't copy flash to RAM because I'm going to overwrite the full sector. So, but I'm doing a RAM clear because if for some reason the page I'm going to write is not full, okay, I don't want to write leftover that it's in RAM from the previous operation. So first I'm doing a clear RAM to be sure that it's clear. Then I'm starting the download 8 files. And it's going to ask me 8 times the question for page 810 and 811 and so on. And here I'm going into the folder when I want to update, and I'm using the modified version of the Ruby program. And I'm giving just with the batch option and the module file. And at that point, I'm doing enter rs, enter. When it's finished, when it's going to finish here, and he's going to ask me for the next page, the next entry, and here also. And when both those two ask me to do, pressing enter again. So I'm pressing enter, I guess, enter, I guess. So this is a lot faster.
We should figure out a way to not having to do that.
Yeah, right now, even if I do automatic without M code, the best I can think of is to get the current state of the CL, because that's another issue. If I have 100 CL on the field right now, they have 100 different configuration. Everybody has his own configuration. If you want to update that to a reference point, I need to start from the current setup of the CL that I'm going to update. So the first thing is to extract the information from the CL, and what I'm looking at is to write a program on the PC that will take that information, take the setup that's there, compare the two, extract the difference, then create 41 programs, compile that, transfer that to the CL, and then I will have exactly the file that needs to be transferred. But even if I do that, I still need to implement a protocol between the two through the serial port saying, okay, I'm ready, send me that file.
I think I know how to do it. I think I know a quick fix, so we don't have to press enter.
Oh yeah, that's through the serial port you then do this.
Yeah.
You're sending basic information through the serial port. But but even that is a lot faster than if I have to do it manually. Okay, so it takes about 6 minutes to do it a full flash sector update if I download everything. So normally my guess is if I have more than 4 to update, I'll update all. It's faster than doing 8 times the download and like I did before the manual steps. So that's it. I know that it's not ideal. It's still a lot of manipulation, but it's a lot better than it was. Really, the best will be to have an automatic update coming. But really, the issue is each CL owner has a different based on time. You don't have, since there was no package management before, no way of updating, and everybody has a different version based on when he bought it from Monte. So we really need to start from the CL, extract the current state of the CL, update the version of the PC, and then from that you can compare and then try to come up with a scenario that you can only download what you need to do. But again, even if I have 10 files to update, if the 10 files are inside 2 flash sector, that's easy. But if the 10 file are inside everywhere, I still need to update 10 sectors. So that's the issue. So yes, I'm working right now as a solution to do automatically, but even that I don't have 5 hours to do frequently to update. So, but this 5 hours is the worst case right now. It's when you have to update all the 64 sector, flash sector. That's what I did because it was too old. But if you are fairly recent, you don't need to do that. That's gonna, even with that, what right now it's gonna take you maybe half an hour or an hour doing it. So it's less painful than it was. that's it. So the update.
Good.